No. Come on, where is it?
Dave, it's your Idaho Central app here. Any chance you're missing a debit card? Let's get that taken care of for you. With ICCU's card control, you can turn any card off with the tap of your finger.
You got it.
And back on again. Out, 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 out. The closest Idaho Central Credit Union branch is in your pocket.
Pow day.
Dude, let's go.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Bronco Nation News Live from BroncoNationNews.com is presented by RowPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics. All Bronco Nation news broadcasts come from the Western Collective Studios. Head down to Western Collective's locations in Garden City or downtown Boise to try some of their delicious beers, including the Horseshoe Golden Ale, the first beer to support an NIL collective. Now, here's four-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing, Bronco Nation? Welcome on into a live edition of Bronco Nation News here on a Wednesday. We got the whole crew. My name is BJ Rains. We got Brad Bedell, former NFL lineman, Boise State offensive line coach, been at Auburn, some other spots. We got Mike Callahan as well, former Boise State defensive lineman. We're going to talk a little defense today, a little offense today, and figured we'd bring both guys in to reach to their expertise. Brad, you're a little dark there. Where are you at, man? How we doing?
Oh, I'm down in San Diego.
And why did you write back?
Place and,
I'm not going to lie, man.
huh?
Why'd you write back saying you were available today if you're down there?
Well, I mean, I got to work. Things don't change when I come down here. During the week, my brothers aren't here and my family's not here, so I still work, do all that. Just kind of do it from a different spot.
All right. Well, we appreciate you. Do you have a view of the beach or anything out the window at least, or? Wow.
Yeah, that's the ocean.
Look at you, Brad, man. Mike, sorry, you and I are.
Yeah, it sucks. It's a great way to start my Wednesday.
I'm not too far from his hometown.
Yeah, probably about maybe an hour tops, depending on traffic.
Well, yeah, well, we'll just slum it up here in Boise, I guess, where it's 100 degrees and super hot, Mike. But
Yeah,
Mike, appreciate you jumping on as well. How you doing, man?
Doing pretty good. Jealous now, but doing good.
I was half kidding. I didn't think he'd actually be in view of the beach from where he was at. But sure enough, he is. That's
right behind him.
That's pretty sweet. Yeah, I'm looking forward. I'm not looking forward to my 40th birthday, Brad, but my 40th birthday is on the day of the Boise State San Diego State game. So my wife's going to come down. We'll go to San Diego for the weekend, and I do enjoy San Diego. It's a fun spot. A couple beach bars there that I like to visit and just hang out there and have a cold one and watch the waves. And we'll be doing that in November when I hit the big 4-0. It's going to be fun. Not real. I don't know.
It's not that bad.
What, 40?
The 40 is the new 20. I mean, get your crap together. Come on. People are living longer these
I hope
days.
that's the case. Yeah, I really do hope that's the case. But we got a good show. Excited.
I don't. Not for me.
Huh? Brad,
Not
how
for
old are
me.
you?
I'll be lucky to make 48. Be lucky to make 55.
We got a good show today.
When the CPE starts to kick in.
Yeah. No show tomorrow, by the way. No show on Friday. I've got the Idaho Cal Ripken baseball state tournament for my son. They assigned us the 8 a.m. games both days, tomorrow and Friday. So I'll be coaching out there at Settlers Park and unable to do a show tomorrow morning. So that's why we're doing 2 topics today to kind of stay on track. But just a heads up, no show tomorrow, no show on Friday. But we do have 2 topics to hit today, guys. We're in our countdown to camp series. We're looking at the 25 kind of biggest topics, questions, storylines facing the Boise State football team in 2025. And our first topic today is on the defense, and it's been a topic that we've talked about a lot with both you guys. But the pass defense really struggled last year, gave up a lot of explosive plays, a lot of 50-50 balls. It seemed like always went to the offensive side. And you're bringing back the same corners coach, the same safeties coach, and your starting corners are back as well in terms of Jeremiah Irby and Amarion McCoy. You bring back Benefield at safety as well. So I know you lose some of those guys in the back end of the secondary, but you know, some of the key parts, especially at corner, are all back, and the coaching is back, and the numbers last year weren't very good. So Mike, I'll start with you as the former player that was in that locker room last year and played with these guys. The pass defense, what did you guys as a defense see last year, and what do you see in terms of the room for growth here?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm excited to see what they do this year because all they can do is improve from last year at the end of the day. I'm really excited to see what Ty Benefield does at the end of the day. I mean, I've heard a ton of really good things coming out of the program about him, surrounding him. I think that this is going to be a huge step in the right direction for Ty Benefield this year. I think he's a very talented kid, and I'm excited to see how he leads that secondary. Because at the end of the day, you know, secondary is only as good as the players that go out there and perform. And I'm just excited to see those guys because they are a talented group. I think that they do work well together. I think they started working pretty well together as the year went on and as we started getting it in the later games of the season. So I'm excited to see them carry that momentum over into this year. Like I said, I'm just like those guys got to step up and they got to play well and they got to play together. But I do think that they're going to take a step forward this year for sure.
Well, you look at some of the numbers, and they're not great. I mean, overall, the defense finished 50th last year in the SP Plus numbers, first in the Mountain West. But the next highest playoff team, you had to go all the way up to 30th, which was SMU. And so the defense was you know, about a third of the way into the country, decent numbers, but overall not great, you know, when it comes to just some of the other numbers. And one of the things, guys, explosive passing plays, explosive play. We'll just say explosive plays. First of all, 11.5% of the plays were what they would call explosive. And I don't know, Mike, if you have a number in terms of what you guys would call an explosive play given up in terms of yardage, but that was dead last in the country. And on passing plays, there was an explosive passing play every 12.3%. And it was, again, literally the analytical numbers say it was, you know, statistically one of the, if not the worst pass defense in the entire country last year. I know, Brad, a lot of people say, oh, well, they blitzed a lot. They got 55 sacks. That's why the numbers, maybe you're susceptible to giving up long passing plays if you're going to be blitzing and having a lot of man-to-man coverage. What would you say to that, Brad, in terms of the give and take with all the sacks they had, but the pass defense not being very good?
I would agree with you. I mean, if you're going to be pressuring and you don't get to the quarterback, you're susceptible to explosive plays. But the reason why they have to get better is because there's nowhere to go but up. I mean, that's just a fact. And you know, trust me, I'm not. Oh, we brought back the corners coach. I mean, that's fine. I don't know him per se, but I know this. That those corners can't play man-to-man last year. And if you're going to pressure, you had better be able to play man-to-man. Unless you're going to play 3-roll or some type of cover one zone, which exposes a lot of holes in the defense if you don't get to the quarterback. It's kind of, Mike, if I told you this, your defensive line is going to have 55 sacks, but you're going to still give up the amount of explosive plays, you would be sick to your stomach.
Yep.
it's a problem. And it's not that. It's and I think they work on it, and I know they're working on it quite a bit, is the 50-50 ball. And that's just going to kind of come down to ball skills. And once that gets going, the other thing is, and I don't know, you guys are going to have to correct me. Did they bring any transfer portal corner in to compete to start to beat somebody out?
Jaden Mickey from Notre Dame.
Okay.
But he didn't get here
Perfect.
But he was a Notre Dame corner and did play. It wasn't a starter, but played a little bit early in the season, and then I think did the 4-game thing and kept his red shirt and left.
Okay, so that's going to help. And I mean, you could say that they're bringing their starters back. In my opinion, there isn't a starter in the secondary. Nobody. Once I think you got to earn your starting stripes every year, but especially with a defensive pass defense and things like that, you can't come into a spring or a fall camp saying, okay, here's our starting secondary. You got to walk in there and go, guys, none of you guys are starting until you earn it. There is just no way.
And maybe you can explain some of these numbers, but in Nathan Carroll's article, some of the Pro Football Focus numbers, you can read this right now at BroncoNationNews.com. Boise State finished near the top of the nation, guys, in cover 0 and cover 1 rates, and coverages associated with the blitzes. They played a ton of cover 0, cover 1. I mean, you would know that, Mike, in terms of what your guys' scheme was last year. That's what the numbers say. You guys played more of that than almost any team out there, which led to more of those one-on-one opportunities. But I mean, some fans I know that's the case, Brad, but some fans kind of see that as an excuse, like, you blitz more, you're going to give up the big plays. Like, but I mean, that's not
an excuse. That's a fact. That's a fact.
Yeah.
It's not an excuse. That's a fact. I mean, look at the National Football League. Any National Football League, look at the Baltimore Ravens. They blitz a lot, or they used to. That's a fact. They're going to have explosive plays put on them.
So
if you miss one tackle, you got nobody left.
Okay. So
right?
What's the give and take then with do you maybe not blitz quite as much if that means you can limit the explosive plays, or what's the give and take there that you're okay with?
I would come in and I'd completely mix up and try to get, obviously going to get, I don't know, Mike, how many coverages did you guys carry into a season?
Kind of just depended, but there was, I would say at least going through fall camp, at least 5 or 6 that we would run on a third down. Yeah, on a third down basis at least. But
you need to get very good and find 2-man or 2 ways of disguising things, and then play your top 2 zones. There's your 4th. If you can develop a 5th, I think a quarterback's issue, and I think this is what's going to happen in this year, is if you mix up the coverages, and pressure, you can confuse the quarterback. And if you can confuse the quarterback, he's going to squeeze the ball. Okay, that's going to help more sacks. It gets him out of the pocket and things like that. If you just sit there and play man and all the time and stuff like that, eventually these guys are smart enough and they're going to start running a bunch of motion. You're going to have guys running all over the field, and somebody's going to come wide open, because if you're passing off in man, you're in deep trouble. Okay, you're going to see a lot of crossers, things like that. That's going to play pit games on everybody, and that's how you create explosive plays on offense, is run pit games. And if you just have the guy, our guy is better than your guy, we're just going to lay it up and we're going to play the 50-50 ball game. I would do that in the red zone. I mean, I'd throw 50-50 balls in the red zone all day.
Mike,
because you got to improve it.
What'd you see, Mike? And obviously I meant, being in that locker room, being in the meeting room there, in terms of the give and take with some of the sacks, but the explosive passing plays and what, again, the untrained eye, the media member on the press box or on the sideline, or some of the fans, we just saw a lot of those 50-50 balls where it just seemed like every time. I remember the San Jose State game, there was 3 or 4 where it was just floating up there, and it's like, how does this not get picked off or at least knocked down? And then the receiver would end up with it. I know you're not in there doing the one-on-one drills with the DBs in terms of, pass defense and stuff, but just what were kind of some of the talking points, or what did you guys see in terms of why the pass defensive numbers weren't very good?
I mean, obviously going into pretty much every Monday situation last year after a game, going over the game review, that continued to be a topic throughout the entire season. I mean, it wasn't just, the untrained eye looking at it. It was us too. We knew that throughout the year, like that was the biggest point of emphasis that we needed to improve on. And that kind of tied in with our turnover struggles too. Those 50-50 balls had to turn into interceptions at the end of the day. We needed to get the ball back more. And that was kind of one of the bigger emphasis too. At the end of the day, working together on the back end and working together on our coverages, that had to improve. And it took a while over the course of the year. But, the last, I think it was the last 3 games of the year before the Penn State game. I mean, those were easily those guys' best 3 games. And I think that kind of proves that, they were willing to, swallow their pride, swallow their egos, and really identify that they had problems that they had to work through. And I'm pulling for these guys that they were able to work on it the whole offseason and that they'll continue to do it over fall camp. And like Coach was saying, the only way they can go this year is up. I mean, they can only improve. So I'm excited for these guys at the end of the day. I know that there was a lot of issues last year, and it's definitely time for that group to take a step in the right direction.
And you look at some of these numbers, guys, of the 7 players on the defense who had at least 250 coverage snaps last year, 5 of the 7 had a sub 70 Pro Football Focus coverage grade. I mean, Ty Benefield, Zion Washington, your 2 starters this year, combined to allow 66 catches, a 68.8% completion rate, 849 yards, 11 touchdowns, and just 2 interceptions. And the 3 corners / nickel that are this year's starters, Banks, Irby, and McCoy, at least as of now, gave up 66 catches, 57.9% completion rate, 868 yards, 4 touchdowns, and just 2 interceptions. But you know what? Like you mentioned, the last 3 games, Irby struggled at the beginning of the season, allowed 5 catches for 109 yards and 3 penalties in the first 2 games of the season. And then those were his worst 2 games of the season. He finished strong. As you said, 4 of his 5 pass breakups came in the last 3 games. He allowed just 3 catches on 13 targets as well late in the season. So I guess we're saying it wasn't great and it's the same guys back. And so that has some fans worried, but it sounds like at least, Mike, you're pretty confident that something's going to be a little different this year.
Yeah, and like I was just saying, the last 3 games, you flip on the tape, there's a noticeable difference in how those guys were playing those 50-50 balls. Like you were saying with Irby, the first 2 games, I remember that, there were times that he didn't get his head around, that later on in the year, he was getting his head around. He was playing the balls really well and effectively. So I think that if they can carry that momentum into this season, because yes, there are a lot of the same guys in that secondary this year. If they can carry that momentum from the last 3 games of the season last year into this season, then they're obviously going to have a better year than they did last year. So, I'm excited to see it because they are a talented group at the end of the day. The Division I football players, everyone's talented back there. It's not like you just have random people. So I'm excited.
I've seen a lot of bad Division I football players, Mike.
that is true, but
Colorado State's got a whole team of them.
Don't get me started on freaking Colorado State, dude. I'm excited for that game.
Hold up. My point is this: they're with them returning everybody. Okay, it can be a strength. I completely agree with you. They need to watch every 50-50 ball they got last season, and you have to study it to nauseam. You have to study it to nauseam. Whether they're not getting their head around, right? Did they mistime the jump? Did they expect the safety over the top and he wasn't? I mean, there's a lot of things that you have to consider when you're a corner, right? That's the one thing about corners are a little bit like pass protection in a regard of everyone wants to blame the old lineman in 5-man protection, but if they bring 6, you can't block one of them. It's a sack if the quarterback squeezes it. If the corner made a mental mistake and thought it was cover 2 and he had somebody over the top and he let somebody go by, that's a mental mistake. So you have to, I think if you study those and you study the fault of every single one of them, you can improve dramatically. You should see that game 1. There is not a doubt in my mind that should happen. But I would agree with you this. There are 2 very long corners. So you're not mismatched on the taller wide receivers. They have everything except they just need to improve on the 50-50. And are they on all the 50-50s, are they starting in press? Are they having struggles coming out of press? Are they in press bail? Are they getting run by? There's all kinds of technical things that needs to be looked at. And obviously they studied them over the course of the season because the last 3 games were greatly improved. It's just, if you don't improve it, you're in deep trouble.
Yeah. Brad, is there anything
it's just the way it is, because you can't play cover 2. And everybody out there said, "Oh, well, let's just sit in cover 2." You can't play cover 2, or you're going to get the ball shoved up you know what in the run game. That cover 2 is not an answer on everything. You can play 4. That's going to bring your safeties down to support the run game. It's still, that means your corners, you got to get out of there. And if they don't get out of there, holes. There's just holes.
Irby and Banks were both transfers that came in. Irby came from Cal. Banks came from Washington. I know that's, they're obviously Division I players, Pac-12 players, whatever, coming down to Boise State. But is there any kind of first-year adjustment, whether it's scheme, whether it's comfort level? I mean, is there a reason that later in the season those guys maybe got better, and it is fair to assume that what we saw later in the season is what will carry over just because they're getting used to a new team, a new scheme, a new city, all that stuff, or is that kind of overblown?
No, I think that's true. I just wish it wouldn't take the last 3 games of the year. I mean, I think there's a lot of truth to that. I think there is. But you just can't wait till the last game of the year, the last 3 games of the year. And I think I would rather be talking about how they improved the last 3 games of the year than saying they were god awful the last 3 games of the year. I mean, at least you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, they still got to the playoff and things like that, and they made some great stops. They played well versus UNLV. They played well versus those types of spots. That's one thing about this group is kind of when the lights are on, they play pretty well. When they get challenged, they play pretty well. And that's impressive that these young men answer the bell in that regard. I think the only thing we're talking about is really consistency, aren't we? I mean, if these kids get more consistent, there's not a doubt in my mind. I think Boise State's defense is going to be really good. Just you need the sacks. You need the sacks. They had explosive plays on 55 sacks. If you're going to pressure, get home. The quarterback can't throw the ball when he's on his back.
Yep. Well, we've got that as the number 5 question on this year's team going into the season. One of the biggest questions, maybe the biggest question on defense. Can the pass defense take a step forward? But as you said, while still maintaining that pressure in those sacks in the backfield, if you have to give up 15 sacks to try to improve the pass defense, you're not sure if the net is a positive or a negative there, I guess, in terms of what it means and what down those sacks are coming on and things like that. So number 5 storyline is the defense and whether or not the pass defense can improve this year. Another, I don't think it's quite as polarizing. I think Maddux Madsen used to be kind of a polarizing figure in this town. Some people wanted Taylon Green, then some people wanted Malachi Nelson, and Maddux Madsen quietly continues to put up numbers, and there's a chance, a decent chance, a week from right now, guys, that Maddux Madsen has already been announced as the preseason player of the year in the Mountain West Conference, given who's coming back and who they have at offense. And he is one of the 7 players listed. So Maddux Madsen, is he an elite quarterback? Is he ready to take that next step with maybe an inexperienced wide receiver group to really lead this offense that they can't rely quite as much, on a guy like Ashton Genty this year? That's our number 4 storyline. We'll talk about that in just a second, but want to thank RowPaint.com, our title sponsor, ROEPaint.com, all your painting needs. Make sure you hit up Andy Rowe and RowPaint.com, whether it's the concrete coatings, interior, exterior painting. Hit up our guys, RowPaint.com, 208-991-0567, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics. TacoBellWorks.com is the website for the SON Management Group, the Nicolason family. We appreciate the Treasure Valley Taco Bell locations for their support of Bronco Nation News. Take the family, get out for a cheap, delicious meal out at Taco Bell. And if you are looking for a job, they are hiring. So you can get more information at TacoBellWorks.com or just go visit one of the Treasure Valley Taco Bell locations today. And they've got the paperwork right there on the table when you walk in. That's Taco Bell, TacoBellWorks.com. Hey, Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. There's a branch pretty much on every corner, but the easiest, that mobile e-branch online banking. Check out Idaho Central Credit Union. I'm heading there today to get a couple of checks printed for a few refunds for the BNN subscriptions. So check it out today, Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. Hey, the weather is heating up. It was 100 yesterday, going to be in the 90s again today. If you're heading out to Roaring Springs, make sure you stop by Jackson's or Extra Mile. And if you purchase 2 Coca-Cola products, you get $8 off at Roaring Springs, and you can do that up to 4 times. You can save up to $32 on 4 tickets to Roaring Springs when you buy 2 Coca-Cola products from our friends at Jackson's or Extra Mile. Hey, Snake River Pool and Spa, Patio, and Game. They are part of the Boise State home team. They've been around since 1978. They got locations in Boise, Twin Falls, Meridian, Nampa. TheSpaTeam.com is their website. You can get more information, whether it's a sauna, whether it's a spa, whether it's a pool table, dartboard. They got you covered online at TheSpaTeam.com, or just visit one of their 4 locations today. Also, you go visit the Blue and Orange store, the new Blue and Orange store down at Albertson Stadium down there in the Hall of Fame during normal business hours. They now have a Blue and Orange store inside the Boise State Hall of Fame, whether it's basketball jerseys, football jerseys, coaches' sideline apparel. They got the new polos out. You name it, they got you covered. The Blue and Orange store there at the Boise Town Square Mall, online at theblueandorangestore.com, or now at the new location down there at Boise State, right there at the Boise State Hall of Fame. Hey, Lithia Ford of Boise, LithiaFordBoise.com. Jim Sturk and Company, huge supporters of Bronco Nation News. We appreciate Jim Sturk and Company. Lithia Ford of Boise, that's where you need to go to purchase that next pre-owned vehicle. With pre-owned pride, you know you're going to get a great vehicle for a great price there at Lithia Ford of Boise. The Raines family, we purchased a used F-150 from Lithia Ford of Boise a couple years ago. We were loving every second of it. So if you're looking for that new vehicle, support someone that supports the NIL game, football players, basketball players, coaches, administrators. They're taking care of them with vehicles. You know, Cage Casey, Roger Carrion, these guys, Matt Lauder, Latrell Caples, they're taking care of them with vehicles at Lithia Ford of Boise. You can return the favor for your next car or truck purchase at Lithia Ford of Boise, online, LithiaFordBoise.com. Brad, I had a stat here I just saw on Twitter that I think you'll enjoy. They announced some of the particulars from the Post Malone Jelly Roll concert in terms of some of the numbers. And they sold 3,149 pretzels. They sold 3,834 Bronco dogs. They sold 18,988 seltzers, 26,086 waters. And in a stadium that seats 36,000, they sold 37,413 beers.
I wish it would have went. There would have been at least 50 more bucks.
I may have saw Mike Callahan. I may have had a cold one in my hand when I saw Mike there at the concert, but that's more than one beer person. And I think those beers were running about $14 as well. So there's a reason they do those concerts on the Blue there. They made a few bucks on the concession sales.
Yeah. That's a great deal. I mean, I hope they and I heard there was an article I read they're trying to get possibly more than one a year. I don't know. I hope it continues. I mean, it's just one of the greatest things about the summer, and I'm sorry I missed it this year, but boy, between that movie on the Blue, look at this. Albertson's national icon.
It was 40,000 concession transactions. A total of 110,000 items were sold from the concession stands, and they used 55,000 pounds of ice to keep all those drinks and things cold throughout the day. But
that's a lot of credit card service fees.
I'm telling you, man. Yeah, but 2 beers and a popcorn, you're at $50 or whatever. It went pretty quick. It was they made some money on that for sure. But a cool concert, Post Malone, Jelly Roll, and yeah, they are trying. I think it makes sense. You got to go all this trouble to cover the Blue and put up the stage and all that. Just do them on back-to-back weekends or back-to-back weeks or something, and just leave it out there and see what you can do. But all right, our next biggest topic here is Maddux Madsen, and like I said, twice there's been he's beat out guys that were more highly rated than him, more highly hyped than him. Certainly, by the end of the year before he got hurt a couple years ago, he had surpassed Talon Green. And I know people have their opinions on that and what Bush Hamden and they were doing with going back and forth with the quarterbacks. And it was very confusing to this day. I don't know, even for you, maybe Mike, what was going on there. It just was very confusing to figure out. They'd say Talon Green was the starter, but Maddux Madsen might end up playing more of the game. It was very odd. But by the end of the year, the New Mexico game, when he got hurt in, Maddux Madsen had passed Talon Green as the starting quarterback and started the game against New Mexico and then got hurt. And obviously Talon Green finished out the year and then transferred. Then the next year you come in, they bring in Malachi Nelson, a 5-star quarterback. Everyone expects him to play and start. And nope, Maddux Madsen wins the job again as the starting quarterback. And then Maddux Madsen forces him to go back into UTEP. So another year here, but this year there's no controversy, no questions. They have zero, and that's actually a big question, a big concern for me is the backup quarterback situation in case Maddux gets hurt. And we've talked about that. They have zero depth or experience there. But in terms of Maddux Madsen himself this year, he is 100% the guy, and we can get into some of the numbers. But Brad, for you first, what you've seen, the evolution of Maddux Madsen the last couple of years, now taking over as he will probably be the first team quarterback in the Mountain West this year. And as I said, there's a chance just because of Boise State and what their offense has done and the fact that they're going to be picked first, he could be the preseason. He's one of the candidates for the preseason offensive player of the year in the entire Mountain West Conference. But yet some fans are still a little worried about whether he's ready to kind of lead this inexperienced wide receiver group and not be able to lead on Ashton Genty all game and have to make some big throws. Just your take on Maddux Madsen heading into 2025, Brad.
Well, I think he's going to be really good. I mean, the only thing is and it's I've been around that young man at different things. And what's really impressive to me in talking to him, he's the same person. And this is why I think this is important, is Taylon Green challenged him. He had competition. He won it. Then they bring in Malachi Nelson. No offense to Malachi Nelson. It wasn't good enough. Okay? So, no, he's going to beat out. Maddux, no, you're not playing. You're not. They brought in somebody else, some big ranked kid, beat him out. Now this year doesn't have that, right? What I love about his demeanor is you would have thought that they had Johnny Unitas behind him. The way he talks, the way he carries himself going into this year when I saw him in the offseason. And I think that's important. I think he needs to carry a chip on his shoulder and have an understanding of, okay, now it's my show, and I have to prove that this is why I am the starting quarterback at Boise State. Yeah. Arguably, I don't even think it's much of an argument. He was the best quarterback last year at Boise State, in the conference. I mean, statistically, he finished number one, all of but three important ones. Now, to go back to this, I know they lost Genty. And that's a big part of it. But they still got three really good tailbacks behind him. I still think this is going to be a run-first offense, I would hope, because I think that's where he can excel is throughout the play-action game. That's also going to help get wide receivers open, right? Get those linebackers stepping up. Okay, get the safeties. If you're going to play cover 4, get those safeties stepping up, throw it over the top. Things like that that's where I think he excels. And trust me, he's dropped back on third down. I forgot what game it was, BJ. I think he had some big time third down throws in one of the games that really bailed him out. And so it's his time now, and it's his time to show that this is why I'm the starting quarterback at Boise State for the second year in a row. And then he obviously started the year before that. That's where I think he needs to excel. That's where I'm very positive him carrying that chip on his shoulder and he's always thinking he's got something to prove. Once you lose that, I think players go down because if you don't have the pressure behind you, you better put the pressure on yourself. And I think he's got that mental capacity to do that where a lot of kids don't. They kind of get comfortable. You know what I mean? They just get comfortable, like, oh, cool, I'm the starting quarterback, NIL, here we go, buy me a beer at the bar. The kids that do that, they fold like lawn chairs. And he's not that way. That's what I love about him. It is awesome to watch. You've talked to him. You've probably talked to him away from the radio show or whatever you've had him. When you look at him, you want to talk football, it's like he is a junkie. And that's what you need in your starting quarterback.
Your thoughts, Mike, on Maddux Madsen?
Yeah, I completely first of all, I agree with Coach on the fact that he's just, I talk positively about all the guys naturally, but Mad Dog at the end of the day, no matter where you get him, it's going to be what you see is what you get with him. He doesn't necessarily have that ego that, quarterbacks, that you become familiar with. And like you were saying, once you become the incumbent quarterback, sometimes some of those things can come out more so. But with him, it's different. At the end of the day, in my opinion, he's one of the biggest competitors I've ever met in my entire life. It doesn't matter what you're doing with him. he is going to try to take your legs off in order to win. And that trait to me is super important for the season that he's about to enter into. And going away from his mentality, I truly believe that Mad Dog is a super talented dude at the end of the day. I think that we caught on to it early. Before he was a starter, we were kind of looking at it and we were like, we have mini Jake Haener running around the backfield right now. That's going to be a big time player for us down the road. And, he's ending up becoming into his own and making his own identity at quarterback position here. I also agree that this offense being a run-first offense is going to help him drastically going into this year. He is so good in the play-action game. Just going against him in practice and also seeing it on the field last year. I think the play-action game is really where Mad Dog thrives. I think that he's elite in that capacity. And I'm excited to see what he does on third down this year. Because like Coach was saying too, there were a few times last year in third down situations that he really did bail us out in some tough situations and made some big time throws. That later on in the year, there were a few balls last year from Mad Dog, specifically that corner ball to Caples in the Mountain West Championship game. Yep. That was one of the better throws that I've ever seen in person. And we've played some seriously talented guys like Michael Penix that, have made those throws that make your jaw kind of drop. And that was one of them from Mad Dog. So I'm excited to see, knowing his leadership capabilities and his competitive edge, personally and also as a football player, just having those two alone are going to propel him this upcoming season. I don't think that he's comfortable by any means. I think he's making this as hard on himself as possible to get better and to be ready to be the captain of this offense. And all the reports, that sounds about right. I think that all the signs also that it's coming from Mason too. That sounds about right. I think all the signs are pointing towards Mad Dog to have a great year this year. He's just a competitor at the end of the day, and I'm excited to see what he does.
Now, 23 touchdowns, 6 interceptions last season, guys, and that, were numbers that were very strong. He led the Mountain West in passing yards, 307 yards, 4 touchdowns against San Diego State. You mentioned that touchdown pass to Latrell Caples. Nathan called it one of the best throws on the blue in the last decade. He says Maddux Madsen is a good quarterback, but can he be a great quarterback? And that's obviously what we're talking about here. Guys, at 3,000 yards, 23 touchdowns, 5 rushing touchdown as well. He finished 28th among FBS quarterbacks with his some of the advanced metrics, 0.18 EPA per dropback. But one area that some folks do like to point to, Brad, is his, that he gets a little lucky sometimes with some of his throws that are not turnovers. He had 4.3% turnover-worthy plays, and that rate suggests that he was a little bit lucky in the turnover department. Typically should have finished with 11 or 12 turnovers instead of 6, according to what the numbers would say in a typical season. His 74.5 PFF grade, 63rd out of the 128 eligible quarterbacks. He was 6th in the Mountain West in terms of some of the advanced metrics last year, but he was one of the best in avoiding sacks, 10.6% sack to pressure rate. That was 15th in the country. Also, when teams tried to blitz him, guys, he was 99 of 148 for over 1,100 yards, 13 touchdowns, no turnovers, and just 5 sacks when he was blitzed all season. So when teams tried to blitz, maybe slow down Genty, whatever, Madsen made them pay. So overall, we talked about the explosive passing plays given up on defense. Another area guys are trying to do and add they had very little of last year was explosive passing plays on offense. They really did not pass the ball down the field, Mike, much at all last year. When he threw the ball 20-plus yards down the field, it was only 12.8% of the time. They only attempted 20-plus yard passes 12.8% of the time. Boise State's explosive passing rate of just 8.6 was down in the 30th percentile. So Madsen finished with just 9 big-time throws, a metric that PFF counts. And that was there was 57 quarterbacks with at least 400 dropbacks last year, guys. 57. he was dead last in the country, last in, quote, big-time throws or deep passing plays down the field. Brad, what do you make in terms of folks saying he got a little lucky, there were some dropped interceptions and things like that? And then also, what do you make of their need with, again, a mostly young and inexperienced wide receiver core this year to try to throw the ball down the field a little more?
Better be lucky than good sometimes. That's the way it is. You got to make the play. Didn't make the play. The kid didn't make the play. That's life. I would love to see more explosive passing attack. That's just going to open up a whole lot of things. I think when you're handing the ball off like last year all the time, it was a move the chain in the passing game, get into 3rd and 5 or less to make 3rd down more manageable, where he can excel in the medium passing game. I think for this offense and for Maddux to take the next step is the deep balls, and he's going to need wide receiver help. And I think some of that can come from game planning. Find your mismatches through motion, through changing your wide receivers around to create mismatches on nickels, things like that, where I think that can take advantage of some of the defenses until they get smart enough later in the season and start matching you more. That's the next step. I think right now it's a conversation. If the question is, can Maddux become a great quarterback? Well, it's an interesting statistic, to be quite honest with you, is because or comment, because what makes a great quarterback? Is it wins and losses, or is it statistics? That's what I want to know. If it's wins and losses, yeah, he's going to come down as one of the better to come through Boise State. Statistically, he's just not. I don't know if statistics are always going to flash for him. I just don't know. I don't have an answer for that, to be quite honest with you. I wish I did, but it would help if the deep passing game will. The wide receivers right now, they need to come up. Now, they need to win 50-50 balls and things like that. And you need to find the blazer. You can go deep passing game all you want, but if you're not fast enough and you can't get behind the defense, why do it? So you can just have a long foul ball. Okay, it's still going to be 2nd and 10. And so I think you need some more yards after catch, some broken tackles. That goes under his statistics. It goes under passing statistics. So I think some of those are manipulated a little bit. A 5-yard comeback or a 10-yard comeback, broken tackle can turn into 30 yards. That's on the wide receiver. So you're going to have to find some wide receivers. You better find 6 wide receivers, okay, that can create explosive plays. And then Maddux needs to deliver some balls right in the breadbasket to create some other aspects of it. But it's going to be interesting to see. I think he becomes a great quarterback with deep balls and continue to win. At the end of the day, he throws for 9 yards. They win. I don't care. He throws for 400 yards and loses. What are people talking about? He lost. But he threw for 400 yards, so everything's cool. It's not. I would rather have a quarterback have 9 yards passing and win a game than throw for 400 and lose. That's where do we judge, right? It's like Dan Marino, one of the best to ever play. Did he ever win a Super Bowl? So he's got that stigma on it, And so I just, and he needs. I'll get that. That's a different subject, but that's where I think his deep passing game improvement. And I wish, and I was looking for it. I don't know what his 3rd down passing percentage was. I'd be interested to see that. That's where I think quarterbacks make themselves elite, is on 3rd down, because that's on you, and not 3rd and 2. I want 3rd and 7 plus. That's where they can make their heyday as becoming elite, is when you get in those type of game situations. But that's my opinion. How does he become elite? Better down the field throws and continue to win.
Mike?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I'm in the same boat. Personally, I don't care what his stats end up looking like if he's winning games. I think that determines a great quarterback, in my eyes, is the wins and losses. But in the public's eyes of the statistics, he won't be the flashy quarterback on the stat sheet that everybody's wanting him to be if we don't have that speed on the field to take the top off the defense and be able to use the deep passing game. And, where that comes from, we'll see what happens this year. We have a very good tight end in Matt Lauder that has been proven to have, I'm not sure how many explosives he had last year, but it felt like he had at least 12 to 15 range of explosive plays. And leaning on Lauder, an experienced tight end, to be that explosive threat in the pass game. We'll see how that goes for Mad Dog. Or if we have one of these younger wide receivers with a ton of speed coming up that has that deep threat capability, then you'll see the stats start popping for Mad Dog. But at the end of the day, the biggest stats for me from Mad Dog is the wins and losses. And I think that to me defines if he's a great quarterback or not. And so far to this point of his career, I believe his record is around 15-3.
13-2.
13-2. Yep, even better. He's proven that he knows how to win, and he knows how to lead an offense to victory. So I'm excited to see that this year, personally.
No respect to Lauder. I love Lauder as a tight end. I think he's a great asset. But if your tight end is the most explosive receiver on the field, Boise State's in trouble offensively for the deep passing game. That's it. That's all I'm talking about. Your tight end cannot be your deep passing number one in deep balls. It's just because, no offense, where the tight ends releasing from, you can jam them all the time, and your 9-jam-7 that I couldn't stand, all that stuff. There's the tight ends got so much stuff to get through. And so that's why if you see tight ends, the great tight ends are immediate and in college, immediate, create explosive plays. The Penn State kid was an anomaly. So he's a first-round pick. He can kind of take the defense, put safeties in a predicament. If you're playing cover two, tight end down through the middle in the post, absolutely. Drop it right behind the middle linebacker, he's gone. That's 40 yards. But tight end should not be your number one deep threat in offense. Not in college football and not where Boise State wants to go. It has to come from the wide receiver, in my opinion. Now, it's just my opinion. I could be full of crap, whatever. Yeah. But that's my opinion.
Well, that
and
is
I coach the position. Trust me.
One layer with this to Maddux Madsen is the fact that he's, going to have to step up his game with, other than Latrell Caples, a wide receiver group that is very inexperienced. Cam Bates showed some things last year, but you lose Prince Strawn, you lose Cam Camper, and then unexpectedly you lose Austin Bolt as well. That's three really of your top 4 or 5 guys last year that are now gone. So that is more on Maddux Madsen as he steps up his game to now have to do it with a wide receiver group that's maybe not as experienced. And I know they have some other guys, Chase Penry and some other guys, but some younger guys are going to get a chance to step up. And don't forget, the other wrinkle to this is a new offensive coordinator in Nate Potter and how he is going to call it. And does he attempt more shots down the field? And what does that look like? And we've talked about him, ad nauseum this summer as well in terms of what's the offense going to look like under Nate Potter. But I think that's something here as well. Brad, as someone before we get out of here that went to the Ultimate Contest weekend last year in Las Vegas, and I believe is going to be heading back this year, that was the famous almost got in a fight because you were splitting face cards with somebody at the blackjack table. Can you give us, in terms of the happy hours and getting to hang with the owner and all the different stuff we got to do, can you give a 20-second spiel as to why folks should join us next month?
Have you ever celebrated Christmas in August? That's what it is. It's awesome. It's everything. It's the way the hotel's set up. It's the fun, the cocktail hour. Everything about it is just fun to get around and talk to other people. And the other thing I like it is we kind of live in a Boise bubble. We think Boise State football kind of runs the show of everything, and which is a fact. But it's also fun to get out in the other markets and talk to people like the guy who lost the bet about Memphis, which I let him reprieve on $1,000. He thought Memphis was 10 times better than Boise State. Well, he was dead ass wrong. It's fun to get around other people in other markets and see their opinion and see what their opinion is of Boise State. And the other thing is I like to support people that I think that treat people right. And that's why I think, Circa and everybody there is unbelievable. And that's why, anytime the owner of a Las Vegas casino is in the middle of everybody shaking hands, thank you for coming, doing everything like that, how can you not support people like that? It's Christmas in August.
Yes. Well, again, it's $1,000 to enter these contests, but if you get a couple of buddies together, it's not that bad. I know, Brad, you and Coach Riddle split a couple entries last year. We split a couple. Get some buddies together. Come down and join us. It's August 21st to 23rd. Brad will be down there. Whole crew's going to be down there. And again, there's an open bar at a cocktail hour, literally with the owner of the casino, just shaking hands, talking to you, hanging out. Open bar at the pool the next day as well. And that is quite the pool. I mean, we got to get Mike Callahan down to Circa here at some point to watch some football and hang out. But unbelievable weekend. We're looking forward to it. And it is 100% legal. You just have to sign up in Las Vegas, and you can use our proxy, Tom Carroll, but then you can play anywhere in the world from Boise or from wherever you live by using our proxy, Tom Carroll. You just fill out your picks with a Google form every week, and he walks into Circa and makes the pick for you. 100% legal with our proxy, Tom Carroll, and you can do that. I know you, Brad. I don't know if Brad, you or Rid were the ones that put them in every week, but it's a pretty easy process filling out the form with the proxy, and you can get that done, and then you're good to go. So hope to see everybody down there. Let me know if you'd like to come. We can get you a discounted room down at Circa as well, and then we can have some fun down there. And I think last year BNN bought a nice dinner for everybody. So if you come down and sign up for the contest, we'll take care of a nice dinner for you at Barry's and have some fun and sign up for the contest there. So looking forward to that. Guys, appreciate you for jumping on. By the way, somebody is asking for the Callahan Cannonball down there at the pool at some point. So
if it keeps me away from sports betting, then perfect, because I just discovered that world and it's not going good for me.
What are you betting on right now? Baseball?
Yep. Pretty consistently.
Hey, I'll be down there.
Not the sport to bet on, dude. It's not fun.
This media days, I'll be able to bet on the All-Star game. How about that? So,
with the over-under on how many pitches they're going to use?
I've hit that. Yep.
It's awesome. We're a week from right now, we'll be doing our show on the first day of Mountain West Media Days. Looking forward to getting down to Circa, and hope everybody will check that out. Shout out Matt Bauscher Real Estate, #1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley. Check him out at BauscherRealEstate.com. Ridley's Family Markets, shopridleys.com. Transportation Compliance Service. We appreciate TCS for their support, and of course, Signature Roofing as well. MySignatureRoofing.com. You can check them out online for all your roofing needs. Our title sponsor is rowpaint.com. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. We appreciate everybody for coming on. Thank you to Brad. Thank you to Mike. Appreciate you guys. Hope everybody has a great day. Go sign up, 247 Sports, the all-new BroncoNationNews.com. We have launched that, and we still have that 75% sale going for just another day or two. So jump on, 75% off, $30 gets you a full year at BNN. And as I've said, if you already are a subscriber to the previous version of BNN, email me. I'll give you a prorated refund. You can turn around and sign up for 247 with that. But it's BroncoNationNews.com, the all-new BroncoNationNews.com. We hope folks will check it out. Have a great rest of your day. Again, no show tomorrow, no show Friday. We got kids baseball tournament, but we'll be back Monday and then heading to Vegas Monday night. Looking forward to that as well, and getting down to Vegas for media days. So have a great day. Plenty of content throughout the week still coming to BroncoNationNews.com. And again, go sign up for that online, BroncoNationNews.com. For Mike, for Brad, my name is BJ. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you later. Bronco Nation News Live, the all-new BroncoNationNews.com.
Bronco Nation News is presented by our title sponsor, RowPaint.com. Our major sponsors, Idaho Central Credit Union, Taco Bell, Lithia Ford, the Blue and Orange Store, Jackson's, and our contributing sponsors, Signature Roofing, Western Collective, Snake River Pool and Spa, Transportation Compliance Service, Bauscher Real Estate, Ridley's Family Markets, Circa Las Vegas, Lean Feast, and Timberstone Golf Course.